Hey there, I am Kate All with Simple Pin Media. We are a Pinterest marketing agency, and our goal is to help you understand how to do Pinterest in the right way so that your business can grow. On this channel, we cover all the topics that people send in or that we've discovered over the years will be really helpful to you as a business owner. Today, we're going to be tackling a topic that's a little bit of Pinterest gossip, myth, urban legend. If you are an e-commerce shop owner, this might not be for you, but if you're totally interested in internet gossip and what people are asking about Pinterest, stick around. My hope is that I can give you some history and as well as some context in order for you to make the best decision about whether or not you should set up or turn off rich pins. But first, we have to define what in the world are rich pins. So what are rich pins on Pinterest? Essentially, it is a way for Pinterest to sync up with your website so that all the information is perfectly correct. Whether you're a content creator or an e-commerce seller, these rich pins give context of the information, and essentially it's kind of a safeguard to where they know your account is attached to this specific type of content. And it will be a bolded text. You can sometimes tell that way because there'll be a little bit of extra information there above the pin. So it's not always easy to pick out, but that's kind of a number one way to identify them. Now, what are the types of rich pins? So we've had multiples over the years, but right now we're only down to 3. So there's article rich pins. This is really ideal for anybody who's just a content creator and they're writing lots of long form blog posts and they're actually just giving you information. Then there is recipe rich pins. Because Pinterest is like the destination that people go to for recipes, this allows Pinterest to get access to the ingredient lists and maybe the proportions of ingredients and the time it takes to cook this particular recipe. One thing to note, it does not give the instructions as to how to cook this particular recipe. This ingredient list, plus maybe if it's gluten-free or dairy-free, or people can leave ratings on Pinterest. This all has a lot of algorithmic benefit because Pinterest can see all the ingredients. And so recipe rich pins really helps the end user picture them in their kitchen at 5 p.m. trying to cook something. They look through the ingredient list on Pinterest and go, oh yeah, I can make that. I'm going to click on the image and go to the website and make this particular recipe. The other is a product rich pin. And these were such a great solution for sellers because for a long time on Pinterest, people would click on an image, they would save it. And let's say that the information was outdated or the shop didn't carry this particular product anymore, or the price was different. So what I kept hearing from all these product sellers was, is there any way for me to update all these pins? People have pinned it and it's now out into the pin universe. And all these people are coming and asking me where they can buy this particular product. I don't make this anymore. So what the product rich pin solved was that when you connect your catalog and your shop to Pinterest, you now get product rich pins that automatically update every 24 hours with your catalog. Okay, if you are really interested about how to get your catalog connected on Pinterest, we have a video for you to go watch up here. Plus, we've done several other e-commerce tutorials here on our YouTube channel, so go check those out. All right, if you are looking for Pinterest business advice and tools and resources and news, then I'd love for you to sign up for our weekly Pinterest Made Simple newsletter. This is brought to you every Wednesday. I write it and I gather together all the resources, all the news that's happening around the interwebs, and help serve up to you in a really simple, easy to read format where you can understand what's happening on Pinterest. You can get access to tools that will help you get better, and you'll be able to talk about Pinterest at a party like you know exactly what you are talking about. So it's basically the Pinterest Cliff Notes. Again, you can get this for free at simplepinmedia.com/newsletter. Just click the link below in the description to sign up now. Okay, so again, the 3 types of rich pins we have are article, recipe, and product rich pins. If you are not an e-commerce seller, there's only 2 available to you, article and recipe. Now, if you're not a food creator, then you really don't want to go with recipe because you're not creating recipes. So that's the lay of the land. These are rich pins. These are why we have them. And this is which ones we have available to us. Okay, now comes to the internet gossip, myth, urban legend, whatever you want to label it. So back in 2019, there was this thing where Pinterest bypassed the recipe creator's site with a particular form of rich pin. So instead of the user being able to click on the pin and go to the website, what it did was it bypassed and it just went straight to this like directions list of how to cook the recipe. So instead of getting all this great traffic to your website as a food creator, it was now being cut off. This maybe lasted for about a week. We affectionately call it RecipeGate because people were so mad about this. Rightfully so, because the whole reason that they were using Pinterest was to drive traffic to their website to make the recipe. Then began this whole concept of turning off rich pins so that Pinterest wouldn't have the ability to bypass their site. Now, Pinterest quickly realized the error of their ways and they corrected this mistake. But what people learned was that all of a sudden there was more traffic to their site. Well, of course there was, because there was no longer the bypass, right? So then there became this idea of, should I turn off rich pins? Should I even set them up for my recipes? This whole concept has hung on since 2019. This is 5 years, people. But we still don't have the same thing that happened originally back in 2019. Pinterest isn't bypassing your website, but it is by far the number one question I still get when either I teach or I go to conferences or I go to food conferences. So here's what I will tell you. This is really going to be a personal decision, but in my expert opinion, you should always leave them on for a couple of reasons. Number one, Pinterest users really love to see if they have the ingredients that match your recipe while they're on Pinterest. And when they do match up with your recipe, they go to your website and they spend more time there, thus leading to a longer time spent on site, which is really good for Google, right? When you turn them off and we no longer have this recipe list here, people click on your pin, go to your website, they go, well, I can't make this. I'm not vegan. And they pop away. So then you get this increased bounce rate, which is not good for Google. Thus, we have the conundrum. Which do you want to deal with? Some people will say, I love that I get more increased traffic by turning off my rich pins, but is that at the expense of people not spending a lot of time on your site? And then some people claim that having them on is really great. They love that people are more qualified as a user coming to their website. I will always tell you to leave them on for this other reason, is that Pinterest did have a big problem with stolen images. They had people who were creating programs that would go onto Pinterest and scrape images and redirect to different sites. One of the solutions was making sure you had rich pins on that prevented the scrapers from being able to do that. So for security reasons, for assessment reasons of the Pinterest user, I always recommend you leave them on. All right. So now that you know all the internet gossip on rich pins, the history, what types of rich pins we have, whether or not you should turn them on or turn them off, here's what I'll tell you as well. You can run your own study to see how this works for your own site. I would recommend that if you're going to turn them off, you turn them off for a full 3 months, and then you turn them on for a whole 3 months, and you can compare between those two windows of time. But if you do not have the energy for that, you get really bored with testing, just leave them on. In fact, if you're wondering how to set up rich pins, you can go here to watch our video as to how to increase your engagement with rich pins and get them all set up. Thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.